Harry Kane scored twice, Jude Bellingham added 1 goal, and Marcus Rashford struck late to seal a 4-2 win for England over Croatia, in a thrilling World Cup opener that felt like a reminder of their famous 2018 meeting. The match carried the same emotional weight, mixing pride and frustration for supporters who still remember that semi-final. However, the moment everyone discussed was not the goals but a stoppage in the 22nd minute for a mandatory hydration break at AT&T Stadium in Dallas. Players walked to the touchlines, coaches stepped onto the field with instructions, and the crowd responded with loud boos that were clearly picked up by television microphones. The stadium was full of England and Croatia fans who had waited years for this fixture, spent large amounts of money, and planned their entire summer around it, so the interruption felt unnecessary to many of them. The roof of the stadium was closed and air conditioning was running, which made the heat safety explanation feel weak in the eyes of spectators. One fan comment spread online, saying the roof and cooling system made the break pointless and expressing frustration with the tournament setup. This reaction reflected a wider feeling that has followed this World Cup since it was announced. FIFA promoted the tournament as the biggest and most impressive in football history, expanding it to 48 teams and 104 matches, with huge expected revenue and a global audience of billions. Officials repeatedly described it as the most spectacular edition ever staged, promising better access and a grander experience. Yet, early in the competition, discussions have focused more on interruptions like hydration breaks than on the football itself. The reason behind these breaks is not without support, as researchers from Queen's University Belfast had previously warned that certain host cities in the United States could experience dangerous heat conditions measured by wet bulb globe temperature, which can put players at serious risk of exhaustion or collapse. Player safety remains important, and few disagree that precautions are necessary in extreme weather. Still, the issue for fans is timing and relevance, especially when stadium conditions are controlled by roof systems and air conditioning. Former England striker and broadcaster Ian Wright also pointed out during coverage that while safety rules are understandable, they can disrupt the natural rhythm of the game and affect the atmosphere in ways that fans immediately notice. The debate has therefore become less about water breaks themselves and more about consistency, communication, and whether tournament decisions match real conditions on the ground. In many ways, the situation highlights a growing gap between tournament planning and matchday reality that supporters experience inside stadiums across different host cities during this expanded competition format, which was designed to bring more excitement, yet often introduces new pauses that interrupt flow and emotion of football matches, leaving fans questioning whether entertainment value has been fully considered alongside logistical safety planning decisions made by governing authorities, who continue to adjust rules in response to environmental and commercial pressures that shape modern international tournaments. Meanwhile, viewers watching at home continue debating whether such interruptions improve player welfare or simply break momentum of games that are supposed to deliver continuous drama and excitement, especially in high-stakes matches where every moment matters deeply for both teams and supporters worldwide, creating an ongoing discussion about modern football traditions versus evolving safety standards in global tournaments shaping the global sport. One former player and commentator described the hydration breaks as something that also helps bring more advertising into the match from an American perspective. In his view, FIFA has presented these stoppages as being for player safety, but he believes there is another side to it that is hard to ignore. Whether people fully agree with that idea or not, the way it looks on screen raises questions. During these pauses, FIFA's broadcast partners in the United States fill the short break with advertisements, turning a simple pause in play into valuable commercial space. Because of this setup, each match no longer feels like two continuous halves. Instead, it is divided into 4 separate parts, almost like quarters in other American sports. For many fans, this feels like a quiet but major change to football's traditional rhythm. This edition of the World Cup is also the first in history to include a full entertainment show at halftime during the final match. Together with hydration breaks, it creates the impression that more and more commercial elements are being built directly into the structure of the game itself. Some people see this as modernization, while others feel it changes the nature of football in a way that is hard to accept. However, it is important to understand that not every broadcaster is treating these breaks in the same way. For example, in the United Kingdom, the BBC does not show advertisements at all and continues to broadcast live stadium coverage during stoppages. ITV also discussed selling advertising time during these breaks and held internal talks with potential sponsors, but in the end, they chose not to go ahead with it. This shows that the approach is not identical worldwide, even if FIFA's decision creates the opportunity. For some viewers at home, the breaks are not entirely negative. A number of fans say it gives them a natural moment to step away, get a drink, or take a short rest without missing any action. From that point of view, it can feel practical. But that is a very different situation from what happens inside a stadium, especially one with controlled conditions like a closed roof and air conditioning. In such cases, the extreme heat argument does not seem as strong, and that difference is exactly what led to frustration among fans in Dallas. Their reaction was not just about the pause itself, but about how the same rule is applied in very different environments. This debate is also not an isolated issue. It fits into a wider pattern of decisions that have surrounded the tournament even before it began. One example involves changes to national team jerseys. Just days before kickoff, FIFA instructed Egypt to remove 7 stars from its shirt design. These stars represented Africa Cup of Nations victories, spread across several decades, and are a major part of the country's football identity. However, FIFA explained that its rules only allow stars to represent World Cup wins. Since Egypt has never won the World Cup, the stars had to be removed. The decision followed official regulations, but it still caused disappointment because it erased a symbol that held deep meaning for Egyptian football history. Around the same time, Haiti also faced a jersey dispute. Their kit included a design inspired by the Battle of Vertières, a historic event linked to Haiti's independence and its fight against slavery. The design was meant as a tribute, showing national pride and historical importance. However, FIFA ruled that it broke rules against political messaging in kits. As a result, the jersey was banned before it could even appear in a competitive match, even though players had already worn it in a friendly game. This created debate, as many saw it as an important cultural symbol rather than a political statement. Both cases show how strict regulations can lead to difficult decisions. While FIFA's rules are written to be consistent, their impact can feel very different depending on the situation. When these incidents are viewed together with hydration breaks and other changes, a pattern begins to appear. It is not about one single issue, but about how control over presentation, identity, and match structure is being handled at the highest level of the game. None of these situations have damaged the tournament itself. The football on the pitch has still been highly entertaining. Matches like England versus Croatia have delivered drama, while other teams such as Argentina and Norway have also produced strong performances and memorable moments. The quality of play remains high, and there is no shortage of excitement for fans around the world. However, this World Cup was always going to be judged on more than just goals and results. 1 week into the competition, the most discussed topics are not only about football, but also about decisions that shape how fans experience the game. Whether it is stoppages during matches, rules about jerseys, or the treatment of national symbols, many supporters feel that key choices are being made without enough connection to how those changes are experienced on the ground. A simple boo inside a stadium might seem small on its own, but it reflects a larger feeling that is building over time. It joins other concerns such as high ticket prices, travel and visa challenges for some teams, and now debates about what is allowed to appear on a national shirt. Each issue on its own may not seem major, but together they create a growing sense of distance between decision makers and the people watching the game. So the question remains open. Are hydration breaks purely about safety, a bit of commercial opportunity, or something in between depending on the venue? And when it comes to jersey rules, should FIFA stick strictly to regulations or allow more flexibility when national history and identity are involved? These are the kinds of discussions that are shaping this tournament just as much as the matches themselves, and they are likely to continue long after the final whistle.